This is Mrs. Jacoby, and welcome to AP Human Geography Unit 3 Review, Cultural Patterns and Processes. We're going to be looking at how culture, language, religion, and identity spread and shape space. Our unit overview includes defining culture and cultural traits, explaining diffusion, analyzing language and religion patterns, understanding identity and cultural landscapes. First thing, what is culture? Culture is the shared beliefs, behaviors, and practices of a group of people. Cultural traits, cultural complexes, and cultural regions all exist within a culture. And culture is learned and it is dynamic, and it includes so many things: food, clothing, art, music, things that are seen and things that are not seen. Now, cultural diffusion. Cultural diffusion is the spread of elements through various means. Diffusion of culture includes both relocation diffusion and expansion diffusion. Relocation diffusion involves only movement of people, while expansion diffusion includes contagious, hierarchical, reverse hierarchical, and stimulus. If you remember from review number 1, contagious is person to person, hierarchical is big to small, reverse hierarchical is small to big, and stimulus is when only a part of a trait moves. Barriers to diffusion include physical barriers. Physical barriers on the surface of the earth may prohibit or inhibit adoption of things. Cultural barriers. Some practices and ideas, innovations may not be acceptable or adaptable in a particular culture. Pork, alcohol, contraceptives, depends on the culture. Economic barriers. There may not be the ability for the new culture to see something if it's on the internet and there is no internet or television. Barriers also include time and distance decay. The farther you are from the source, the more time it takes, the less likely that innovation will be adopted. Traditional versus global are the two different types of culture in the world. Traditional culture is mainly small, isolated groups who maintain their culture through separation to continue their local traditions. It is slow to change. It is rural oriented. On the other hand, global culture is more regional or worldwide. Global culture transcends political boundaries and involves global events and ideas. It is rapid to change and more urban oriented. If you look on the screen, you can see examples of both folk and global culture. Traditional culture is always under pressure from global culture to maintain its own separate self. Cultural landscapes are the visible imprint of human activity. It can include architecture, religion, as in buildings or products, and land use. The cultural landscape reflects the people or culture of that area. If you look at an example of cultural landscape on your screen, the Great Wall of China is one of the most iconic structures in the world. It was built 2,000 years ago. Stonehenge in England, dating back to the Neolithic. These are parts of cultural landscape. It can be as simple as signage or types of businesses. Now, some language basics. Language equals a system of communication. We can break languages down into families, really big groups, branches, smaller, and finally, language groups themselves. We can go smaller. We can go smaller. But make sure you understand the three main language families. The Indo-European language family includes the major Romance languages. If you look on the screen, you will see the yellow in the United States and Canada and Europe moving over to Russia and India, Pakistan, some of South America, Australia. The Sino-Tibetan language is kind of the goldenrod or orangey color on your screen. This is located mainly in China. And the Afro-Asiatic language, which contains the languages of North Africa and the Middle East. On the map, you can see it's kind of reddish as we're going through. You need to know those big ones. There are 15 families. These are the biggie. If you look on the map, you can see the key, and it shows a lot of different families. Now, not everybody speaks the same language. Lingua francas were created as trade languages to use by people who do not speak each other's language to conduct trade. So it's kind of like a third language. Dialects are changes in languages which give it a regional accent. Doesn't change the language, but you may have spelling or pronunciation changes. An isogloss is a boundary between languages. Boundary disputes can absolutely happen at an isogloss. Pidgin languages, simple versions of languages that happen when they're being learned. Spanglish, a combination of Spanish and English. Denglish, a combination of German and English. Creoles, on the other hand, are brand new languages based on two or more languages which combine. Pidgins are very simple with simple vocabulary, while Creoles have a larger vocabulary and they are much more complex. And if you look at the screen, you can see all the different lingua francas that exist in the world. Language diffuses in many ways. Through trade, between language areas, migration between areas, and colonization, where the colonizer stamps their language onto indigenous people. Religions are divided into universalizing religions and ethnic religions, and they're classified based on different categories. Universalizing religions include Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism. Their goal is to seek converts, some through missionaries. The goal is to appeal to everyone. There's generally a known founder. All the holidays are based on the founder's life. In the case of Christianity, we have Christmas, Jesus' birth. We have Easter, Jesus' death. The goal of universalizing religions is to spread the message of the religion to others. Ethnic religions, on the other hand, include Hinduism and Judaism, and an ethnic religion is generally tied to one place because that's where it has meaning and it is focused on the landscape. No founder may exist. In the case of Hinduism, it is so old, I have no idea what the founder is. And it is focused on the place, the landscape, whether it be climate or agricultural practices. In Hinduism, the river Ganges is holy. The people who practice Hinduism don't leave India because you can't kind of take the river with you. They do not seek converts. Ethnic religions do not seek converts. In fact, Hinduism won't even allow converts. Now, looking at two universalizing religions and how they diffuse, Christianity spread first through relocation and then through expansion, while Islam spread first through conquest and then through trade. So a lot of ways for religions to spread. Cultural identity is defined as shared beliefs, values, and practices that define a group of individuals. Identity shapes individuals' perceptions and relationship to the world. Cultural identity can be based on ethnicity, gender, or national identity. Looking at some examples, the Zulu identity is based on ethnicity, while Japan is based on deep respect for harmony, hierarchy, and blending ancient traditions with their modern technology. Ethnicity patterns can be shown in many ways. Ethnic enclaves are small groups that choose to live in close proximity. One example of not happening were Jewish ghettos. Those were ethnic enclaves, religious enclaves that were not created by choice. That was stamped on the Jewish people by Nazi Germany. Segregation occurs. The Amish, the Hutterites, even the Shakers choose to live separate. And finally, cultural clustering happens when groups with close cultural identities tend to stay in the same area, or when cultures in the same region begin to pick up matching ideas. You can see on the screen ethnic groups in the world by the end of the 20th century, that's the end of the 1900s, and all the different groups in the world. Now, part of culture is sense of place. That is an emotional attachment to a specific location. It can be influenced by so many things like the culture, the religion, the language, but other things like environment can influence how a person feels about a place. Globalization and culture. Globalization affects culture. Cultural convergence is when cultures begin to become more similar. This is generally due to globalization and different cultures coming together. And cultural divergence means that cultures are becoming less similar. Globalization leads to convergence, but can lead to tension because local culture might not want global culture to take away their traditions. Assimilation, extreme form of cultural change that involves the complete adoption of a dominant culture as well as a rejection of previous culture. You move to another country, you learn their language, you learn their customs, and you eliminate your previous. Acculturation, on the other hand, refers to the adaptation process that occurs when two or more cultures come in contact. This most commonly happens when migrants move to a new culture. It involves adopting new beliefs, behaviors, and forms of the dominant culture, but not totally giving up your own. Multiculturalism is social and political approach that recognizes everybody has value, diverse or not. So all diverse cultural backgrounds exist within a society peacefully. Syncretism is the blending of different religious, cultural, or philosophical beliefs to create a whole new system. Cultural landscapes and identity, placemaking, very important, means adding to your environment to make it your own. Toponyms, place names, you add to areas by using your culture to identify places. Montreal comes from Mount Real, a mountain. Symbolic landscapes represent cultural meanings and values embedded in physical spaces. They often reflect historical narratives, identity, and collective memory of a community. Examples include monuments, memorials, religious sites that convey specific messages. Cultural forces are impacted upon by centripetal forces, which pull people together, and centrifugal forces, which pull things apart. Centripetal forces are things like patriotic songs or flags or shared history classes. Centrifugal forces include separatism, boundary disputes, or deep religious divisions within an area. So understand that centripetal forces will unify a culture and centrifugal forces will divide a culture. Let's look at some MCQs to kind of practice Unit 3 a little bit. Question number 1. Which diffusion type spreads rapidly person to person? Is it A, hierarchical, B, contagious, C, stimulus, or D, relocation? Take a few seconds and choose the best answer. Go. If you chose B, contagious, you chose correctly. Question number 2. What is an ethnic religion? Is it A, Islam, B, Christianity, C, Hinduism, or D, Buddhism? Take a few seconds, choose the best answer. If you chose C, Hinduism, you chose correctly. Hinduism and Judaism are ethnic religions. Let's look at question 3, a lingua franca. Is it a dialect, B, a trade language, C, a religion, or D, a region? Once again, take a few seconds and choose the best answer. If you chose B, a trade language, you chose correctly. A lingua franca is all about trade. And finally, question 4. This type of religion seeks converts through missionaries. Is it A, ethnic religion, B, universalizing religion, C, global religion, or D, folk religion? Take a few seconds, choose that best answer. Chose B, universalizing religion. You are correct. Universalizing religions will send out missionaries to convert people. Let's look at a quick little FRQ piece. This says explain how diffusion affects cultural landscapes. Students should be able to discuss and explain. And explain is a couple of sentences with examples. So first, explain how diffusion affects cultural landscapes. So you better be able to define diffusion and tell them what diffusion is. And then talk about how things can change a culture, whether it be foods or building styles or signage. And give a few examples. You can talk about how signs in Quebec have to be in French to maintain that culture. Make sure you know the major vocabulary from this unit: culture, diffusion, acculturation, assimilation, lingua franca, and syncretism. These are really important words, so make sure you understand them and you can use them when you are describing things. Just as a quick final review, remember, culture spreads through diffusion. Language and religion will shape patterns of an area. Identity creates landscapes. People change their landscapes to match their cultures. What is diffusion? Make sure you understand that. The spread of something. Be sure to be able to give an example of cultural convergence. Be able to give examples of an ethnic religion and a universalizing religion. Understand all of those. Thank you for watching. Be on the lookout for review number 4, Political Patterns and Processes. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos.